Good day and welcome to the College Sport Communicators webinar, which we are offering as a pre-recorded on-demand webinar and podcast. We're pleased to offer this session on building a winning staff, working with graduate assistants, postgraduate students, and interns. Thank you for joining us in this important discussion as we discuss how to find, work with, and empower graduate assistants and postgrad student assistants and interns in your communications office. This is the second edition of How to Build a Winning Staff webinar of this academic year, following our session on building, training, and retaining a student staff in the fall of 2024. I myself, hello, my name is Alex Gutierrez. I'm the Assistant Sports Information Director at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, WPI, in Worcester, Massachusetts. I will serve as today's webinar moderator. We welcome our colleagues from CSC as presenters today. They are here to offer their thoughts and expertise on building a top-notch staff of graduate level students. So we got lots to cover. Let's get started. Now, here are today's guest panelists. I'm going to start with Adam.
Hello, welcome. I'm Adam Ledyard. I'm in my 24th year in the CSC and 13th year here at East Texas Baptist University, and I've been able to work at Division II, Division III, and NAIA. Currently, I have three postgraduate / GA interns that work for me, and I have 4 positions available and use them here at ETBU.
Awesome. Next to Abby.
Hi, my name is Abby Curtis. I'm currently in my first year as a graduate assistant for Xavier University. I just graduated last year from the College of Charleston, where I was a student intern in their athletics department for 3 years.
So, Corey.
Hello, everyone. I'm Corey McCarthy. I'm in my first year as an associate commissioner for the North Atlantic Conference. And previously, I was at St. Joseph's College as a sports information director, associate AD, for 17 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. I'll get started with you, Corey. We'll kind of transition from where we left off in the last episode to today, the second episode of this whole edition here. So we're going to kind of go from starting as a game day student staff, undergraduate, as an undergraduate, talk about the hiring process, really quickly, and then all the way through kind of what majors you worked with, and then how getting into the next level of the field into this graduate assistant level.
So when I was at St. Joseph's, the hiring process was mostly by word of mouth. The job was posted on the college website, but it was a lot of a coach saying an athlete needs a work study job or things like that. And you'd get character references from the coaches. When I first started, I only had 4 workers. It evolved into a staff that had between 40 and 50 student workers, just because most of them were athletes and we needed to piece together the seasons and the schedules. And really it became word of mouth once the staff was built. Trying to find people that knew what was required for the job. So friends, roommates, it was a lot of that. And St. Joseph's College is a small place and everybody knows everybody. Alex, as you well know, is a proud alum and former intern and former event staff worker under us. But the process was very, I would say, informal. Interviews weren't necessarily followed by strict guidelines or anything like that, but it was trying to get to know the person and see what they're interested in, and get the personality and see if they're a good fit. Another reason why we had so many student workers, and this doesn't work everywhere, I understand, but if there were some that didn't fit the mold very well, then maybe they don't get a lot of hours. So there was always some of that. It's probably a core of 25 students that did most of the work. But so then from there, try to get them when they're younger, freshmen or sophomores. Oftentimes that's not the case. They get comfortable with college and realize they want to make some money, so they could be juniors or even seniors when they join. But if you can get them when they're younger, and there's a real good opportunity for them to hopefully work in a different capacity in the athletic department, in sports information specifically, That's how many of the interns that we had at St. Joe's kind of worked through. They started off as event staff workers, and then they noticed that there were others on staff that were also interns who had played a bigger role on game day, and it looked interesting to them. Maybe they were sports management majors as students and thought this could fit into my career plan, or maybe they were different majors. We had all sorts of majors, and I think we'll get into that later. But really just them showing interest in the internship program that we built, and then very rarely turning people away, needing college credits and things like that, and us always needing help in the sports information office. It was a symbiotic relationship for sure. They get the experience, and we get to take advantage of their efforts. And this is not a job you can do alone, as everybody knows.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I would say that, piggybacking on what you mentioned before with finding the, next level, gaining that interest in this field. I was fortunate to do that as a junior, and then realize like, okay, I'm going to invest into this as much as I can as a student to kind of get me to the next level, and the next stage. Adam, in terms of the finding the interns piece, we'll switch over to you. Like, are there any other ways outside of what, was mentioned before that, worked for you or work for you currently?
Well, piggybacking off of what Corey said, word of mouth works, but one of the things that we do here that I do is I go and I'll speak in classes. I'll go to the communication class or a business marketing class or into a sports management class and talk about what I do, talk about if it's broadcasting, if it's the communications aspect of it, and then get interns that way, build the relationships with the professors in kinesiology and sports management, communications, business marketing, and then they send their students my way every semester. So I can have, last spring semester, I had 3 student interns from 3 different classes here on campus helping me, getting their hours that they needed for their major. So that's one way that I do it. And then also just word of mouth from them, spreading the word, talking to their friends, bringing them in and help them with our class. And then we have a work study portal that students can apply on campus. One of the things that I've been blessed to do is build in a budget for workers too, besides the work study. So it's also telling those interns and such, hey, if you want to do this after your internship, you can come work for me and also make some money on campus doing this. So, but the biggest area that's helped me is just going and talking to the professors and building those relationships over the years here at ETB, where they know what we do here and the product that we put out.
Awesome. And in terms of, when you get the interns and you're developing them and getting them ready for the next step, what sticks out? What are some pillars that show that these students are successful interns? Kind of, Corey, any end results that you see with interns before they go on that stick out to you that might be helpful for others to see as leaders in the field?
I think particularly at St. Joe's, at a small school, you have individuals who are involved in a lot of things. Maybe they're multi-sport athletes, they're captains of their teams, they're in student government, they're on SAC, they have an internship, they're event staff. All these things probably sound very familiar to you, Alex. These are people that are super busy but good at everything they do. You look at them and think, man, if they could just focus on one thing, if they could, when they get out in the real world and they're the sports information director or, whatever role they choose, they're going to really do well and be successful because of how thinly they're spread in college and still successful, but when they're able to focus all their energies on one thing. And I think that was true with you and true with some of the others at St. Joe's. We were fortunate enough to have go on and work in the field or get their graduate assistantships at various schools. What I consider to be like a successful intern, after the fact, looking at, did they get into the field or did they get the kind of position they wanted to get? And did we help them along the way? Like with you, Alex, or some of the others that have worked, it's truly rewarding and I'm very proud of all of you guys for all the things you've accomplished. Certainly, it's everything that, it was all on you. I don't take any credit for it. You had the opportunity and you ran with it. But I certainly view those who got into the field, the kind of jobs they wanted after graduation, and those as success stories. And I'm still in touch with many of the interns that we've had over the years, and it's really rewarding to hear from them and hear their successes.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, great times for sure as an intern leading to, where we all are today for sure. And it's great to see everything coming to fruition. Abby, I'm going to kind of switch gears here, from you and your experience now as a GA. Maybe there's, some things as an intern yourself that, how did you know internally, like this is the next step where you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think I had been working at Charleston in their athletic department for 3 years, and I really enjoyed it. That's why I stuck around, and I kept being given more opportunities to learn more about the field and kind of try things on my own. So I think the end of my first semester of my senior year, I decided like, this is what I want to do. And my boss at Charleston, Lynn, she told me that I should look into looking for a GA position, just because that's a good way to kind of level up your next step in this field. So I started just applying to any position I saw. I probably applied to over 20 different places, and it's a stressful process. It can be, because there's a lot of places I didn't hear back from, but I kind of learned that some people, they already kind of have in mind who they want to hire, but just putting your name out there, continuing to apply is really important. It definitely helped that I had some experience as a student intern, so I was able to showcase some of the skills that I had and give examples of graphic design or writing I had done before. But I think I could tell with some of the interviews, like the way that they were interviewing me, I could tell that what was going to be a good fit and what wasn't. For example, at Xavier, they brought me on campus for an interview, and I could tell that they were going to be as invested in me as I was in my future and getting more experience as a GA. So I think it's important to just keep applying. Don't get discouraged. I definitely found the right place for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I went through a pretty exhausting application process as well as a senior. I forget the number, but it was in like the 50s or 60s in terms of applying to graduate assistant, postgrad, intern gigs, and so on, just trying to find like what areas that I need to hit next, like before I graduate. And so a lot of those conversations went back and forth with me and Corey in this instance, of what I need to develop to kind of add to that resume to show that, graphic piece in the application process, or being able to write, stories based off of a box score. There's all different types of applications in the processes. And there are some big schools that I really was like, oh my God, this is great, I want to do it. And, weren't too, I guess it weren't in the cards for me, or like I just didn't get the position and someone else did. But having that perseverance like was exhausting, but I knew like this is what I wanted to do, and it was going to fall into place somehow, some way. So that I agree with that 100%. Keep applying to those interns that are in as a senior now, or even juniors, like keep applying. No, I appreciate you saying that. And when you apply and you get the job, I mean, Adam will kind of turn towards you in training these graduate assistants. You made the hire, you have the graduate assistants coming your way. How do you get them started when they show up on campus and get rolling?
Well, one of the things we do, and it's across the board, we have broadcast GAs and creative GAs and regular sports information creative or CSC students coming to be graduate assistants. So when they all get here into July, 1st of August, when they come in before the athletic year really gets going, we'll meet for 2 or 3 days, take them out to lunch. We'll find a place to just go meet, and we will go over the whole semester. This is what we do on game days. This is what we do in the office. This is what we do for our creative side of it. with graphics, and this is what we'll do for reels, and this is what we'll do for cinematics. And we sit through and we go step by step with the things we're going to do. And then we look at the travel aspect of it. We look at the schedule and what games that they can go to. And then we go to the coaches and say, hey, can they go with you on this trip to cover what you're doing? I've been blessed to have a travel budget. So if they can't go with the team or that weekend, or we can go up on that Saturday or Friday night, we'll go up and cover the team and come back. So we sit down, we look at the big picture for each semester and look at what we'll be able to cover on the road, what we'll do at home. And then after that, we meet bi-weekly just to go over the week of what's your projects, what we're doing this week, home events, and different things like that. So we lay it out in one big semester and what we go over and how we're going to tackle that and accomplish those goals and the things we're going to do to promote our teams and the success that they have.
Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts, and can be, daunting to those that are 21, 22, 23. I mean, I was moving from Standish, Maine down to Harrogate, Tennessee, to be a graduate assistant at Lincoln Memorial. And that was like over 1,000 miles away and in a whole different place, meeting these people. Very unique scenario as a graduate assistant getting there. But I think a common theme that we'll all touch on, and we touched in the last episode, was empowerment, and giving these people, the graduate assistants and postgrad interns, confidence. So we can all empower our graduate assistants by being a teacher, giving them the ownership with guidance, as you mentioned, Adam, going through these meetings, getting them to the next, getting them ready for trips, how to cover, how to talk with their coaches, and then focus on building trust, providing clear expectations, offering constructive feedback, listening to their ideas and recognizing their contributions. So, as we go through the training process and gaining that confidence, I'll kind of go back to Abby here. You had talked on your transition and getting into, your graduate assistant role. And as I mentioned, it is a 21, 22-year-old. It's hard to figure out what this next step is going to look like outside of work. And so, this work-life balance is very important to everybody in the industry, no matter how long or young-lived your career has been. What have you found, Abby, are some ways that you find balance as a graduate assistant?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, setting a schedule for sure that helps me, just because I have to remember that I'm a grad student as well. So I have the school aspect of it, and then I'm working as well within the department. So it's definitely, what helped me was choosing an online program. I think, luckily, I feel like a lot of places offer those now, which is great. So I do the sport administration program here at Xavier. That's what most people do. Some people do the MBA program. I think it's important or helpful to choose something different from your undergrad major, just to get experience in another field. And also, sport administration is obviously very relevant to what I'm doing. I have to, set a schedule for myself every week. I tend to go to work during the day, come home, do my homework at night, and just focus on that balance throughout the day. Another thing is just having a lot of trust in myself, that I'm here for a reason. I have this job for a reason, so I'm capable of doing it. And the people who hired me, they have trusted me as well to be able to do it. So just reminding me of that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for myself was realizing, kind of like going to, your undergraduate as a freshman, you're nervous, you got this whole new life, and you're in the same boat as everyone. So being able to like go to a graduate program and realize if you're in a staff with a couple postgrad interns or other graduate assistants in the same department, like you're all trying to figure this out together. And so being able to work together was the biggest help for me outside of and within, athletic communication, sports information, what have you. But the homework piece, the projects on top of, hosting X, Y, and Z games and events, that can easily get lost and slip through the cracks. And so for me, I found it helpful. Like, okay, Thursdays, we have an easy morning. Maybe we meet as a group and knock as much stuff out as possible to get ahead for the next day and not wait until after Sunday night football to try and get the last minute submission on our weekly posts in or something like that. That was something that I learned, especially going from year one to year two as a graduate assistant myself. And it's tough with a lot of like-minded people that just love sports. And so you're trying to watch football, but you got a little bit of homework to do and catch up on, get ready for the next week. Adam, I'm going to shift back to you. I know you had mentioned the traveling portion and working that out with a graduate assistant in terms of like their roles and how that's going to look. When you think like big picture and planning ahead, like how do you get into this system where you can really pick these trips that are most, I guess, effective of the resources for your graduate assistants?
Well, we look at the schedule. We know what big games are coming up and what big trips will be coming. And so we say, okay, hey, this is a big weekend that you need to go on and cover. And sometimes we're lucky enough where they can travel as much as they want. If the coach is like, yeah, come along, we've got a room for you. And it just depends on what the coach wants. And so it's basically just looking at what the coaches want, what we can afford to do, and what weekends we can go with them depending on crossover season and other things going on, and what sports they're assigned. Some of them that come in, I'll say, hey, you're going to have A, B, and C sport, and then you're going to have this other one will have creatives will have these sports. And we just try to work with their talents and what they what they like, more of the sports that they're familiar with and understand better, and then sit down with them and say, okay, this is where we're going to go, talk to the coaches, and all the coaches are always for them going because they know they're going to get coverage on that weekend. So it's basically just the communication channels, opening them up with the coaches, with the admin, and saying, hey, this is what we'd like to budget for the next year for travel. This is what we want to do with the coaches, and sit with the coaches and meet. Currently, I've got a softball creative that is working with our softball team and doing a lot for them this year and what she can do for her portfolio. So it's just opening up the communication channels with everybody and making sure we're all on the same page.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'll add to just travel as an intern, undergraduate intern, GA, postgrad intern, whatever the case is, travel as much as possible. I was always kind of annoying about it and asked way more, than I actually went. But having that experience, just being able to connect also with the student athletes and the coaches, that provides just a irreplaceable experience for the entirety of a trip. I was lucky to travel with our basketball teams, golf teams to all of our matches. So being able to do that as a graduate assistant was very helpful to me and, helped me out. Now down the road, it's not, I'm, in a new school, being able to, know how to activate those networking, I guess, in a sense, but building that relationship with the coaches and student athletes, it's not a first time thing. So as early as you can, get involved in traveling with the teams. That is very beneficial.
And that's what we want to do. Just going back to that is giving them that experience early on and saying, yes, we are a Division III program, but we want to give you that experience across the board and try and treat them as close to a Division I aspect as a Division III student athlete, and getting them out and say, you get to travel, you'll get your hotel, you get your food all paid for. You don't have to worry about that, and getting them prepared then for the workforce after they leave.
Yeah, definitely. And we've mentioned a lot about the graduate assistants, but we've also mentioned postgrad interns. Adam, can you just touch on anything that might differ in your processes from finding a graduate assistant that's there for, a year or two, trying to find a program, and then finding also that postgrad intern that might be there for a semester or 1 year? Like, what does that process look like for you?
The first aspect I do is I try to look from within. Some of the interns that I've had and talk to them early on and say, hey, would you like to do a postgraduate internship or grad school? and get those wheels of thinking in their brain, like, oh yeah, I would like to stay here and do that. And so that I've had a lot of turnover into that area. But another area that has really benefited me is the CSC website. After posting, I go in and I've spent hours upon hours looking through resumes on the back end, because being a private Christian institution, there is a right fit for the school, and sometimes people that apply don't fit what the school's looking for. And so I'll go through the website and then look up on the resumes, and then look up the social medias and things like that, and pour through all the resumes on the website. Two of my graduate assistants I found in the last couple of years, their resumes have been on the website for 2 years, and they were actually done with college and then just working a regular job. And I would call them and they're like, yeah, I'd be interested in something like that. So that's how I've found some students, is just going through the resumes that are left. If even if they don't get a postgraduate position or intern, their resume is still there. And so there's a lot of great students out there that I think may forget that their resume is up there, that is left there. And then when you go to look through it, you can find all these great students that would be good fits. And so that's one way that I've made it work here, because you find a lot of great students on there that I think people tend to forget about when they can't find anybody.
And you find these post-grad interns and you start, once again, empowering them. It's a little bit different, as you have post-grad interns that might not be as long. How, in terms of teaching them, once you get them there and they're in the office, here we are again, going through the starting, coming off the starting blocks. How do you get them? Is your preparation different than it is with graduate assistants?
Interns, they're about the same. The grad part of it is a little bit of what Abby talked about, the balance of the school and the job and working through that. But as an intern, it's pretty much you're learning how to do a lot of this as a job. And so it's just taking the time and sitting down with them and going through, this is how we do the game day stuff, being with them on game days for 2 or 3 home games before, letting them loose and doing their thing. We treat them about the same. The difference is, like I said, with the graduate side of it, we work with their homework and their projects and things like that, and how we work through the time management aspect of it. We'll go easy hours at the beginning of the week, heavy hours into the week with the games and such. So again, back to what I talked about earlier, just the communication channels, what's going to work. What's best for you guys at this time. If they have something come up family-wise, or there's a big event back at home they have to go to, okay, hey, we'll work with this. What can we do to make this work so you can get this done and have a balance? So it's not always you have to be here to do this. But yeah, you can miss that weekend. We've got to do this. We can figure it out. So it's just a lot of communication and working on that end. And then for some of the things that I don't know as I grow in this industry, some of it is led to the younger generation. We get on YouTube. Some of them, they've taught me stuff from the things that they've learned or they have brought in with their skills, and they'll teach me. And if there's something that we both don't know, it's like, hey, let's go see if we can find this. What's on YouTube, or what's on Pinterest that we can look at to get a different idea, and just use those social media channels that we have to better ourselves. There's a lot of different ways that we teach, from hands-on to watching to, all of us working together to see what's going to be the best way to promote our school and our athletics.
It's 100%. I kind of use that as my personal motto when, in the professional setting, is being able to contribute with the skills that I have, but also always being open to learning. It doesn't matter, how long you've been in the field, or who you have technically above or below you in a way. It's always being willing to learn, and in this sense, giving your interns the chance to teach you, your graduate assistants the chance to teach you as well. Kind of shifting gears to Corey in terms of meetings. I know when it came to being an intern myself at St. Joseph's College, that there were some people that like I knew, we're in the same major, but really didn't get to know until being in intern meetings, often with Corey. Corey, in these meetings, like what were you looking to get out of the meetings with interns every week?
Well, really, the first thing was kind of laying out, the upcoming schedule, updates on projects that each intern was working on, and what kind of concerns or what kind of new things people have learned or what they hope to do. It was really kind of a hodgepodge of expectations, I guess, for those meetings. Didn't always have an agenda, but always got a lot out of those meetings. It was a great learning environment. I learned a lot. I probably learned more than I taught when it came to those group meetings, because the world of social media is always changing. Our profession is always changing, and you never know what's coming down down the pike. Vine was a thing for a while, and then it went away. TikTok, who knows what's going to happen there. But these are all things that we can use as tools, and these are things that students and interns know more about than speaking of probably me and Adam more so than Abby and Alex. But you guys will know more about that stuff than us older folks will. And it was just a really great environment to talk about, hey, what are the video ideas? Everybody is, if you have 5 or 6 interns, if you're fortunate enough to have that number, like we did at St. Joe's oftentimes, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of people that are focused and passionate about those types of roles. And when you have that many people looking at new ideas and new things, and just focusing on how you can make things better, and cooler media days, or whatever the case might be, making your website better, that's just a great environment. And it's really a weekly brainstorming session more than anything else. And I really got a lot of those meetings. I think most interns that were invested would agree.
Yeah, the intern meetings really paved the way for me, just being able to catch up with others as well. Brainstorming outside of the meetings, when I was like too afraid to come up with something myself and say it out to the group. I would talk to somebody else on the side, like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" But in this field, I mean, you have so many layers. So you have the postgrads, you have the undergrad interns, you have graduate assistants, and then full time, part time, and everybody involved at all different levels in different departments. I kind of wanted to give Abby a chance as a graduate assistant. It might be a little bit different, but Abby, can you speak on any game days that you might work with interns of any level, if they're undergrads or postgrads yourself? Any experiences that you have that that you can talk about, being able to work with others in that regard?
Yeah, we have a couple interns here at Xavier that they always just kind of want to get involved. So sometimes I'll use them on game days to help out. If we have lacrosse season coming up, so I have a few of them working some of the tasks on the table crew just to give them a little more opportunity. And in the office, sometimes they'll come up to me and ask if they can help with anything. And I like to, sometimes give them a few things to do. And it's nice to see them, because I was in that position just a year ago, honestly. So I like to empower them a little and give them some tasks to do to learn more about this field and give them a little more interest in what they could do with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I felt that way as well when I was a graduate assistant. I felt like I was looking at like a spitting image of myself sometimes when it comes to other interns that are just getting started and really want to, get involved, or have been involved and are a seasoned veteran, and they're helping me as I'm just getting to campus. And so I found those relationships unique because we're close in age and, close in life experiences. And we talk about all the stories that got us into the field. So that was a unique thing for me as well, where I worked with a lot of interns during my time as a graduate assistant, and I tried not to get too bossy, but also develop some trust. And there was a lot of going back and forth with me, and how I interacted with interns whether they're undergrad or postgrad. And kind of to round out the topic on interns, Adam, Corey, or even yourself, Abby, what do you guys consider a successful intern? You come to the end of a semester. I guess, Adam, I'll start with you. You touched on it before. Come to the end of a semester, end of an academic year, like what are some things that stick out to you with postgrad interns that, all right, this was a good use of college credits or use of a semester?
One thing I look at is, are they, work ready? Are they ready to go into the workforce and work for another university doing what they're doing now? How close are they? What else do they need to get done to get them to that next level? Looking at their portfolio that they've done here, if they're creative, or what they've written and broadcasted, where are they at in that aspect? And after that first year, hey, are you ready to move on? Can you move up to the next level, or do you need to stay another year and continue working on, depending on, like when we do graduates, have them stay 2 years so they get the complete aspect of gaining that experience. So it's just looking to see, are they ready to move on to that workforce, how they handle the stressful situations, how they work with the coaches, how they manage the balance of it, of doing homework as a grad, and that situation. So it's stepping back and talking to them and seeing where they're at in life and how they're doing with their things, and if they would be ready to, take a job now if somebody called and said, hey, do you have somebody that could do this position? So it's just sitting down with them and seeing where they're at and showing them, hey, this is what we need to do better. This is what we need to do to move forward. And hey, oh yeah, you're ready to go. We could get you, if somebody calls, I will recommend you for that position right now.
All right. Well, Corey, do you have anything you found? I mean, I know you spoke on the undergraduate piece and then being able to, see how work ready people are, like Adam said, but anything else that stuck out to you that might not have been covered?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things for me was just to notice the level of improvement from when they started to, when they leave. I have a coaching background, so I probably view the intern team or the event staff team as like an actual athletics team in some ways. You're only as, you need good players in order to win games or to run good events, I guess. I had one intern who ended up, he's working in the field right now as a freshman. He didn't know what an HDMI cable was. And as a senior, he was a guy who the anthem was about ready to be played. He realized it wasn't plugged in, and he ran down and plugged it in while he was on the microphone, slowing things down. And this is a guy who would have panicked big time earlier in his life. You know who I'm talking about. And, this was a huge success story. Anybody that you've seen go into the field, you could say that about, or, if they've been successful post-grad. But to me, that's the biggest thing. And when you can look back and say, hey, that was their signature project, like D3 week that year, they absolutely crushed that. That was really awesome. Meet the Monks videos that we did, or, media days and where student interns wanted to kind of take a bigger lead on those events. Those people really kind of left their mark and helped us improve. And, those are things that I remember and consider to be good internship experiences.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll say now, in terms of the student staff piece, I don't have interns or graduate assistants here at WPI, but now I've been here this will be my 4th year. So a lot of the people that I've had as student staff are now seniors and they're getting ready to graduate. And so over the last few years, I think about how they've developed, and being at a STEM school, some of them want to go into sports full time, which is crazy to think about. But as you said, Corey, like how they leave, the mark that they leave, being work ready, as Adam alluded to earlier, that is something that I find myself like you just see that development piece and it just kind of smacks you in the face a little bit. And it's like, wow, this has come to fruition. And then you have people like Abby going on and getting the next, job and, making this whole industry a better place. So I'll kind of close out with that. Thank you for all your words today as, we navigate through this entire timeline of building a student staff. We would like to give a big thanks to our presenters today for the discussion and insights on building a valuable staff of graduate assistants and graduate level student assistants and interns. We encourage you to check our websites, collegesportcommunicators.com, for updated information for future webinars and membership news. Thanks again for being with us today.